In Okeke village, tradition was law, and no one dared to challenge it. When Obinna, the first son of the Okeke family, died suddenly, grief covered the family like a thick cloud. He had left no child to bear his name, no son to keep his lineage alive. In Igbo land, such a thing was considered a calamity. His young widow Nneka sat in mourning, her wrapper tied firmly around her waist, her head bowed, her future clouded like the harmattan sky that blinds both the traveler and the farmer. The elders gathered under the mighty Iroko tree, the tree where all weighty matters of the clan were settled. Pa Anene, their leader, stood tall, his voice carrying the authority of both age and culture. A man's name must not vanish like smoke. Nneka will remain in this family. Amadi, Obinna's younger brother, will give her sons to carry Obinna's name. This was not a suggestion, it was a decree. It was the way of their fathers, and so the law of the land was spoken. This is called the Levirate marriage tradition in Igbo culture. In many parts of traditional Igbo society, when a man dies without leaving a son, his widow was not free to remarry outside the family. Instead, she would remain in her late husband's household, and the deceased man's brother or another close male relative would take her as wife. The children born from that union were not considered the new husbands, but rather were counted as the children of the late man. It was believed that through this, the late man's spirit would live on, his name would continue, and his lineage will remain strong. This practice served three purposes: to preserve the family name and inheritance, to protect the widow so that she would not be left destitute or alone, to keep the children's lineage within the same household, ensuring that no branch of the family tree was cut off. But though the custom aimed at continuity, it often came with struggles of the heart. Culture had spoken, but in one corner of the gathering, Ifunanya, Amadi's wife, lowered her eyes in silence. Her face was calm, but inside her chest, a storm began to gather. She knew what this decree meant for her marriage and for her place in her husband's life. At first, Amadi treated it as pure duty. He entered the Nneka's hut quietly at night, fulfilling the custom. Nneka accepted too, for she was bound by tradition as tightly as the wrapper tied around her waist. But as nights turned into months and months into seasons, duty softened into affection. Their conversations grew longer, laughter began to slip through the cracks of silence, and what began as custom slowly blossomed into forbidden love. If Naya saw the signs, she was no fool. She noticed the late night footsteps, the laughter that carried through the compound, and the wrapper that Nneka had mistakenly left in her husband's room. She said nothing, but anger sharpened her silence, the kind of silence that cuts deeper than words. Soon, even the village itself began to whisper, Amadi spends too much time with the widow. If Naya's face is bitter these days, they said. The gossip spread like dry grass on fire, reaching the ears of the elders themselves. And though they tried to silence it, the truth was too loud to be hidden. Amadi and Nneka's love no longer hid in the shadows. They roasted corn together in the courtyard, their eyes lingering too loud, their smiles carrying a language only they understood. Until one evening, Ifunanya broke. Her voice thundered in the compound, scattering the chickens and freezing the children in their tracks. So this is how you honor your wife? Tradition gave you duty, but love. Love is what you give her? The courtyard froze in silence, and Madi's eyes betrayed him. Instead of anger, instead of denial, they rested on Nneka with tenderness. In that single moment, Ifunanya saw the truth clearly. She was no longer the keeper of her husband's heart. From then, the Okeke household split in two. Ifunanya withdrew into silence and pain, clinging to her children as though they were her only anchor. Nneka, heavy with guilt, yet bound by love, hid herself more often in her hut. Amadi walked like a man with two hearts, pulling him in opposite directions, torn apart by culture, duty, and desire. The elders tried to intervene, but even they quarreled among themselves. Some said, if Naya must accept, culture chose before her. Others spat in anger, this is no longer tradition, this is disgrace. When Nneka bore a son, the elders rejoiced. They carried palm wine and kola nut, declaring, Obinna's name lives again. They named the child Obinna Jr. But if Naya was not moved by their celebration, she saw the joy in Amadi's eyes as Nneka held the baby, a joy far deeper than mere duty. That night, as the moon watched silently from the sky, she packed her belongings, gathered her children, and before leaving, her words cut through the compound like a blade. You have given your brother a son, but you have killed your marriage. I will not stay where I am not wanted. She left, her figure swallowed by the night. From that day, the Okeke name carried shame. At first, Amadi tried to be strong, clinging to Nneka and the newborn. But as misfortune followed like a shadow, his spirit began to twist. His farmland dried up, though the rains fell. His goats grew sick one after another, and soups that were cooked fresh in the evening spoiled in the pot before morning. The villagers whispered again. Some said Ifunanya's people had caused the household, others claimed Obinna's spirit himself had returned to punish betrayal. When the weight of calamity became too heavy, Amadi's affection for Nneka began to sour. In his bitterness, he sometimes turned on her, shouting in anger, "It is you, Nneka! Ever since you entered my heart, misfortune has not left me. You brought this curse into my life." His words cut deep, and though love still lingered in his heart, his tongue grew sharp with frustration. Nneka, carrying Obinna Jr., will retreat to her hut and weep. In those quiet hours, she whispered, "Perhaps this was never meant to be. Perhaps I should have resisted. What has love brought me but shame and ruin?" Far away in her father's compound, Ifunanya too was restless. Though she had left with dignity, the rumors of Amadi's ruin reached her ears like smoke drifting across villages. She yearned to return, her heart aching for the man she had once loved. But fear chained her steps. Her family was angry with Amadi, saying bitterly, "Since you returned to us, has that man made one attempt to come for you? No, he has abandoned you. Let him release you once and for all." Her people had even urged Amadi to come and collect the bride price to formally end the marriage, but he refused. Deep in his heart, Amadi longed to go and bring Ifunanya back to plead for her forgiveness and mend the broken home. But pride and shame would not let him. Each time he thought of stepping into her father's compound, the whispers of mockery rang louder in his head, and so both hearts remained chained, one by fear, the other by pride. Thus, even apart, the three of them lived in torment. Amadi torn by duty, Nneka burdened by guilt, and Ifunanya trapped between regret and the wrath of her people. Their lives had become a web where every thread led only to sorrow. Yet it is important to note that this practice, once binding and unquestionable, has slowly lost its grip in many places. With the coming of Christianity, modern education, and new ways of thinking, such customs are no longer widely observed. Still, in some rural communities, echoes of this tradition remain, quietly shaping lives just as it did in Okpoko. The story of the Okeke household was far from over, for when love, pride, and tradition wrestle under the same roof, the ground itself begins to tremble. What no one in Okpoko village yet knew was that the worst was still to come. Would the ancestors forgive Amadi? Would Ifunanya defy her family and return? Or would Nneka's son grow under a curse too heavy to bear? The answers await in the shadows of part 2. This is only the beginning of the Okeke's family tale. Part 2 holds even darker turns. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss it. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Only on Tales by Blessed AB. Thank you. Bye.